So we're running cardioid across all three, so it's a genuine comparison where there's no any spatial influence where we hear more space is not caused by the position, it's caused by the way the microphone picks up. It's a really interesting test, this one. Hi everyone, welcome back to Green One again. We're back in the Lipa track now. This time we're doing a bit more of a deep dive into the overhead choices that we made. And again, you'll be able to see in the footage the positioning of the microphones, and you'll see they're all very, very close together. Maybe even close enough together that they actually acoustically influence each other a little bit, which is why you wouldn't normally put mics this close together. But for the purposes of this experiment, I think it's a very valid approach to take. So we went with that kind of modified recorder man approach again, looking to get that really good tom sound, tom focus, detailed cymbals, great stereo width, but also really good mono coherency that we tend to get from that particular, and that dryness that we get from that particular overhead setup. And the three mics that we chose to place, because again you start to run out of space really quickly if you start doing this kind of a job, is the AKG C414, the Neumann KM184 and the Neumann M147. So as we said previously, the 414 we know has got this quite natural, with a relatively soft, I think, top end. I never really hear them as being hard or aggressive, but detailed. So not necessarily, I don't think they necessarily lead you as a listener down a particular path. I think they're relatively transparent in what they're showing you, which is a fantastic sort of idea with the mic. The KM184, which is a sort of modern take on the original KM84, though to my ears not the same microphone. The KM184 again is a fantastic small diaphragm Neumann microphone, great off-axis sort of performance, but with quite a colourful frequency response, I think, and quite a colourful sort of transient response. I always hear them as being quite a colourful microphone, and it's going to be really interesting also being the only small diaphragm in this. Small diaphragm microphones tend to have better sort of localization going on in the upper frequencies. So I'm expecting perhaps a bit more detail in the stereo information that they're picking up from those. But it'd be interesting to see. They may be slightly noisier. Again, the smaller the diaphragm, the higher the noise floor. It tends to be what happens with what's going on electronically. But it's a negligible issue when we've got something as loud as drums. It's not going to give us a problem. And the third pair is the Neumann M147, again a sort of classically loved pair of tube cardioid microphones from Neumann, and all three pairs are cardioid here. So we're running cardioid across all three, so it's a genuine comparison where there's no any spatial influence where we hear more space is not caused by the position, it's caused by the way the microphone picks up. It's a really interesting test, this one. And again, quite dry, we tried to make the room, though there's still a good amount of room energy in the recording. We could have tried it out further, as we do later on in the Stormzy session. So this is our sort of medium dry, if you want to sort of give it a more sort of wine-related discussion of its characteristics as a room right now. So just the overheads up, no other close mics. Well, once we've heard all three pairs, we'll add some close mics as well, so we can hear the influence of those. So yeah, let's have a listen to our first pair. So this is the sort of modified recorder man, AKG C414. I think it's the XLS model, if I remember correctly, that we have in the studios here. All of our 414s are the same vintage, and again, you'll find quite big variations between generations of 414s. The very original ones actually had like C12 capsules in them, and were way brighter, way more open. The 414 has been through a lot of changes over the years, but these are some good examples of 414s. Exciting. So big, bright, brash cymbals, big sounding image. Let's move quickly on to the KM184s and see if we hear an initial difference. We might do another sort of quick side-by-side comparison to see what we hear there. You can do this yourself on these sessions with your headphones on, and I encourage you to take this and then go and have a listen yourself and draw your own conclusions and try and come up with some criteria by which to sort of challenge how you think these things sound. it's very easy to go, I like that one, or that one sounds better, but actually it's hard to articulate why sometimes. So think about the criteria by which you're analysing the performance of your tools. And obviously the nice thing with things like hardware is you can measure it, so you can bring some hard science in there as well. So let's go to the 184s. So that's immediately interesting. I'll do the 414 again and then the 184. So the 414, listen to the cymbal separation. I've got good separation. It's very coherent. It feels like it's all right of centre, left of centre. You know, it's moving, but quite coherent as a ball. The 184, way wide. So it sounds way wider from the nature of the pickup pattern of the microphone. There's also, to me, coloration, distortion. To me, it sounds trashier, more aggressive. Perhaps you might say, I think, in terms of there's a bit more sort of teeth in the sound, which a bit more aggressive, but quite different. You know, within centimetres of the same position, but quite a dramatic difference there from those two different pairs. Let's now try the M147s. Now, excitingly, they sound the other way around to me. So I might flip the pan on those, in that they sounded backwards there. It's playing tricks on me, I think. But yeah, anyway, that one, I would say, is by far the most sort of coherent. I've got the movement, but it feels like a big mono movement. It's moving within one big ball. The 184 is much, much wider. But the toms and the snare felt much more powerful to me in the 147, almost like a compressor is grabbing all of my individual peaks and leveling them out. I get a sense of it almost having compression on it to level it all out. And to me, it feels less aggressive, which is what I like about this one. I find myself wanting to turn the other overheads down. These ones, I find myself wanting to turn them up. So that's always an interesting reaction, I think. And I find this when speaking with mastering engineers or mastering work myself or hearing other masters. A lot of more contemporary mastering I'm hearing makes me want to reach and turn the thing down rather than turn it up, because it can all be quite aggressive. And for me, that's the least aggressive but the most powerful of them. But I think all three have, you know, if you wanted separation, you go for the 184s. If you wanted the sort of balance with the real cymbal splash, I got way more sense of cymbal out of the 414. And if I wanted the more overall balanced kit sound, maybe the M147. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull them all down a little bit so that we can introduce our close mics again. And we'll just hear them with the close mics to see what goes on there. So I shall solo my kick, I shall solo my snares, and kicks actually. So we've got our kick snare. And again, as we heard in solo, it makes it very cymbally with the 414s. And if we go to the KM184s, so much more width. Sounds super wide. Separation on the toms. I feel like I want my tom mics in with these though. My toms feel lost against my snare. But very, very different sound. Super wide, really interesting. And again, that for me is a real small diaphragm, large diaphragm thing. You'd find the same with other small diaphragms as well, no matter what you were using. I think you'd hear a similar thing. And then finally, we've got the M147s. Sorry, they're definitely the wrong way around again. I've put them back by mistake. And to me, they're the punchiest. The toms are the fullest, but they're also the most mono for me in their presentation. So which one's best? Up to you. You decide. I know what I'd pick, but what's important is what would you pick and why?